Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and my law firm assists nurse practitioners with employment contract issues. Today I'm going to give a brief overview of malpractice insurance for nurse practitioners. So, if you're an NP and you're either working as an employee or an independent contractor, you're going to need malpractice insurance. And so there are two types of malpractice insurance. You have one which is claims made, and the other which is occurrence-based. So let's take claims made coverage first. So a claims made policy means a policy has to be in effect when the claim is actually made. So in that scenario, it's possible that you can leave an employer, the agreement is terminated, but someone could sue you a year later. And so in that scenario, you would have to purchase tail insurance. So what is tail insurance? Tail insurance simply covers the gap between when you leave an employer and then the last day somebody can sue you. Most of the time, 2 years is kind of a standard statute of limitations for a malpractice claim. There are some exceptions for when minors become adults and that type of thing, but I'm just going to kind of use a broad 2-year window as kind of the normal amount of time. So if you were working as an employee for a small physician-owned practice and then the agreement terminates and you move on to a new job, somebody's going to have to purchase tail insurance that covers that gap to make certain that if you are sued, you are covered. I'd say it's probably 50-50 of whether the employer or the nurse practitioner pays for the tail insurance. Kind of a good cost analysis for tail insurance is it's usually about twice what your annual premium is. So for an NP, most of the time your malpractice insurance premium, which means how much you have to pay to be insured on an annual basis, is going to be somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000. So if you did have to pay for tail yourself, it would be somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000. It can vary based upon the length of time you've been with the employer, and then kind of maybe what your claims history is as well, but 2 times your annual premium is a good indicator of what the tail cost will be. This is something you can negotiate, and I would suggest doing that. As I said before, it's usually about 50-50 on whether the employer will pay for tail insurance if you work for a smaller physician-owned group. If you work for a big hospital network or hospital, it's very likely that they're going to pay for your tail if needed, or they may have a different type of policy. So the other type of policy, as I said before, is occurrence-based coverage. And occurrence-based coverage simply means a policy has to be in effect when the malpractice event occurs, and therefore tail insurance is unnecessary in that scenario. You do not have to pay for tail insurance if you have an occurrence-based policy. So why would someone get one over the other? Well, an occurrence-based policy usually about a third more expensive than a claims-made policy. So there's kind of a math equation that needs to be made if you have the choice of whether you want to get an occurrence policy or a claims-made policy. The shorter that you're going to be with an employer, it might make sense to use an occurrence-based policy, whereas if you're going to be with an employer for a very long period of time, a claims-made policy might make more sense financially. Is one better than the other as far as the coverage that's provided? No, they cover the same amount, but it's just really a matter of cost. If you do have to purchase tail, you can also determine how long you want the tail to be. Do you want it to be 1 year, 2 years, indefinite? I would suggest getting the longest tail possible. As I said before, there are a few exceptions to kind of the 2-year statute of limitations on a claim, and you don't want to get caught and get sued, well after the 2-year period is ended. If you had a 2-year tail, then you're still stuck. One more consideration. If you are responsible for paying for tail, you don't have to use the same insurance company that the employer provided to you. I would go out and shop around and see what kind of better cost you can get for the tail policy. There are several providers, sometimes dozen, depending upon what state you're in, and it just makes sense to kind of shop for it if you do need it. There is one last type of insurance policy, and that's if the hospital or health network is self-insured. In that scenario, you will not need tail, most likely. But here I'm just focusing on kind of the 2 primary sources if you're in private practice. If you have any questions about your employment contract or independent contractor agreement, please feel free to contact my law firm. at the phone number listed below in the description. You can reach us through our website, chellelaw.com. Please like, subscribe to the channel if you thought this video was helpful, and I appreciate you watching the video. All right, thanks.